Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I have a really good video for you today. It is a special day. It's a day that, you're going to remember for a long time. It is January 6th, 2024. Well, on January 6th, 2021, we had what they call the Capitol Riots, which was, in fact, it was an insurrection against the Capitol and against the Constitution of the United States. It really disturbed me. And I'm going to get into this whole thing and what happened since then, because I think they should start marking this date in a special way. Please, everybody, check out my cigar, Gangsta, The Crooked Diamond. Please check that out. Check out my book, Gangsta Redemption, the Cookbook. Please check out lighters. We have all that kind of stuff. Our cigars. Thank you, Oliva. We are now going to jump into the Capitol Hill. It's not Capitol Hill, the Capitol Riots. This was the insurrection in the United States. This is when 1,200 people went in and broke in and vandalized and looted the Capitol office building where Vice President Mike Pence was getting the election certified, and by counting the Electoral College. And I'm going to get into the Electoral College here in 1 minute. What this is called is, it was the January 6th riots that President Donald Trump had a Save America rally outside the Capitol and literally encouraged people. Now, I'm not going to blame Donald Trump. I'm really not. I'm not going to blame the president, our former president. Obviously, a lot of people do. Obviously, there's more to this whole case than meets the eye, and I'll tell you why. And this is what we're going to get into. We're going to get into what really happened that day and where did it go? How did it expand? How did it blow up? What did we know as a country? What did the CIA know? What did the Secretary of Defense? What did all of those agencies know about what happened? Okay, we're going to go to the timeline. Donald Trump lost the election in this is in 2020 now. They had the November election and they have the Tuesday election. President, now Biden, wins the election. President Donald Trump at the time, is claiming there was election fraud. Now, that has been debunked by so many ways. Now, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I'm going to say I think they knew more that was going to happen during this, and I don't know why it was let go. Maybe you guys will hit me a comment or something and tell me what your thoughts was. So on January 6, 2020, Vice President Mike Pence, who leads the Congress, that's what people don't understand, he's literally the leader of the Congress, he is there to tally the votes of the Electoral College. Every state in the United States, by way of legislation, and how many people have in the Senate and the Congress, because the Senate, they have 2 senators from every state, no matter the size. But when you in Congress, we have 435 congressmen. Those congressmen are, of course, South Dakota or North Dakota has less congressmen than, let's say, California, New York, Florida, because they're bigger states and they represent more people. Well, the Electoral College, the governor of every state, picks an Electoral College. These are people who tally and vote the Electoral College. That's what they call it. Now, they can't be a congressman themselves. So the governor has to pick different people to do that. And then that vote goes on January 6th. It goes into Congress, and the vice president has to tally the vote and declare the winner of the presidential election. Even though people know who won on November, whatever date it is, the first Tuesday in November is election day in the United States. Well, obviously, since the election was lost then, President Trump at that time started spewing theories about how the election was a fraud, how it was stolen from him, that Georgia had the votes, Arizona had the votes, and obviously Pennsylvania as well. Obviously, this is not true. In fact, the president has actually been indicted in the state of Georgia. Doesn't mean he's guilty. Let me tell you about that. And I don't think he's going to go to jail. We'll get into that in a second as well. Well, on January 6th, what happens from there is he starts spewing all this stuff. Now, here's a timeline, okay? November 5th, it was the communications. Now, remember, we have a riot, and the riot is actually 1,200 people come to the Capitol itself. Thousands more were at the Save America rally. The instigators of the whole thing, and I'm not going to even say instigators, just people who they consider themselves patriots, is the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, and it's called also Three Perimeters. I am wrong. It's the Three Percenters. Now, those are the three big right-wing organizations that actually been classified as hate groups now. Again, do I believe they're hate groups? I think there's hate in every group. I hope you don't have hate in your heart. But we're getting into the Capitol riots and the January 6th riots to try to stop the succession of the President of the United States. Let me tell you why this is so important to me. As a history guy, this has never happened before. The only time the White House has been breached was in 1812 during the Spanish-American War. And that is just, it just blows me away that this actually happened. And our president at the time did not send the National Guard in. He did not want to send the National Guard in, which to me was, you know, obviously, come on, there's people's lives at stake. It's your own vice president, it's the Congress, the Senate. Obviously, the crowd was in an uproar. Well, getting back to the Electoral College, that's how we actually elect the president, everybody. We don't elect the president by just you guys voting. It's not a popular vote, it's Electoral College. And there's reasons for that, and I'm not going to get into it too deep. But there's 538 electoral votes, and the president needs 270 of those electoral votes to win the election. He could lose the popular vote, and that has happened many times, and win the Electoral College. And they do that so not 4 states, whether it be California, Texas, Florida, and New York, are really running the country, and all the other little states don't have as much say because they're kind of washed away with population. So it goes by Electoral College, okay? So now, and that's all mandated under the 12th Amendment in the United States Constitution. And what it does, it literally says in the 12th Amendment, it mandates Congress to assemble and count these votes. That's in the Constitution. That's the 12th Amendment. The first 10 of the Bill of Rights. And, obviously free speech and guns and right to a lawyer and cruel and unusual punishment. All of the Constitution is so important to me. And I want everybody to understand why this is a day that I really think about a lot. And it's January 6th again. Now, there was an attempt to thwart the election by making where the vice president doesn't certify the election. And here's how they did it. On December 18th, 2020, a bunch of people, Louis Gohmert and a couple of those guys, went in and they tried to ask the president to issue a military executive order and seize the voting machines in all the states. And then what happens is the director of the National Intelligence is then, this is all in our charters, he's the one who decides if it was a fair election. That was Ratcliffe. Now, that also has to go back to Congress and has to be verified by them as well. So that's the order it goes. So a bunch of people went into the president's office, tried to have him make this a military order. And here's where I'm going to stick up for Donald Trump, President Trump, because, listen, he could have did a lot more things. Yes, I think he got caught up in the wind. He got caught up in the hype himself. Sometimes I believe his own lies. I really believe that. So I think there's a problem there. So on December 28th now, Congressman Louis Gohmert. Now, Louis Gohmert, I met Louis Gohmert. I got pictures with Louis Gohmert in Congress when I went and spoke up at Congress. He's actually a former judge. People don't know that. And he's also Congressman of Texas. And Louis Gohmert of Texas and others from Arizona file a lawsuit in Texas, because this is Louis Gohmert's state, to declare, to decide that gives Mike Pence the authority to not certify that Electoral College count. And he argued that the Electoral Court Act of 1887 was unconstitutional. Never gonna hold water. It was a joke. It meant nothing at all, and it was like, it really was a joke. That was, to me, one of the big jokes. So I didn't get that one. So now they tried that on December 28th. Obviously now we have other ways. Now here's what happens. So now on December 19th, the Oath Keepers leader, Kelly Meggs, calls the Proud Boys at Enrique Tarrio, who has since gotten the longest sentence on the Capitol Hill riots cases. Let me tell you what happened. Here's how many people, 1,200 people were charged with federal crimes. 1,200 people were charged with federal crimes going into the Capitol. Now remember, a lot of those crimes are going to be just trespassing on federal land, something of that nature. And obviously you cannot break into the Capitol. I'm not surprised, and I mean this. If I was a cop there, if I was the head of that whole place, I'd have started shooting people. I know people go, what do you mean? Listen, what they did was they tried to overthrow the government. I don't care how you do it. Those guys are barricading them. We ended up having, I'm not going to buy this either, and just, this is numbers. Within 36 hours of the event, 5 people had died. Yes, 5 people. One was shot by a Capitol police officer. He was shot. I remember that one near the door. Another from a drug overdose. Do we really pin that on this? Maybe, but I don't see how you can really pin that. And 3 more of natural causes. Now, they had a heart attack, something like that. And even one of those natural causes was a police officer. You know, how do you attribute that death to that? And that's like saying there was a school shooting and one of the teachers went home and had a heart attack, or, you know, maybe died of cancer because they had cancer, and they're going to attribute it. It's kind of like the BS they did with the COVID. And I didn't like that. Well, there were many, many injured people. 174 cops were injured. Hear me out. Now, these are people supposed to be patriots, and they're hurting cops. 174 cops. 4 officers also responded to the attack, died of suicide within 7 months. So 4 of the cops who were there died of suicide within 7 months. That always gives me a heads up, like, what did they see there that was so bad that they had to commit suicide? Suicide's, I mean, obviously it's the worst thing you can do. And they died. So there was over $2.7 million in damage in the Capitol, which they went into the Speaker's office. They went to other congressmen's offices. They broke the place up, and you're going to see footage of that coming up right here. So all of that happens because of a rally. Now, I am not blaming the President of the United States. He's allowed, he's a politician, he's allowed to have a rally. He's known for that. Do I think the 2 of the speakers at the rally, and I listened to the whole rally, and the Save America rally, obviously it was Rudy Giuliani, and boy, what a disgraced mayor. I mean, I remember when he was the mayor of the United States after 9/11. But Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman. Now, let me tell you something. I don't buy these guys. I really don't. I think they're smarter. They're lawyers. They know the law. They know what can be done and not. And they just went on the hype. You know, you can get a crowd to do crazy things today, people. And that's crazy. Well, anyway, so the people they went in, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, and they're a militia with 2,000 rioters entered the building. 2,000 people entered the Capitol. This is crazy. And I've been through that whole Capitol. I had private tours in there and everything else. They vandalized, looted the House Speaker's office, and you're going to see some crazy stuff. The guy with the, the horns, all of that stuff. Cops and reporters were assaulted. That's crazy. Why are you doing that? Pipe bombs were found in the RNC, which is the Republican National Headquarters, and the DNC, the Democratic National Headquarters. They're pipe bombs. And also Molotov cocktails were found close to the Capitol after this. So that's bombs, if you want to call it that. The president, and I know this is crazy, Donald Trump resisted sending the National Guard. That really, really sealed it for me. I mean, that's your power to just say, get in there, save my guys, my vice president, my congressman, speaker, all the people there, go save me. He did nothing. And that is a testament to being losing it for a second. There is reports that he went in, he wanted to go away from the Capitol. Secret Service was taking him. He went from the back seat to try to take the wheel. I mean, what is he going to go through the window on these guys, on the Secret Service? That's not happening. We all know that. So, at that point, we're at going on with what's going on is the Capitol Hill riots. Now, here's who are the people who are the most culpable. Let me tell you exactly what happened. 1,200 people were charged with crimes as of December 23. 728 defendants pled guilty, while another 166 defendants went to trial. 745 have been sentenced already. Now, when I see that, let me tell you something right now. I could tell you Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, I don't care who they are. Do you know how many rats? There's reports of a lot of them ratting, telling on one another. Obviously, they come to their senses, if you want to call it that. Now, listen, I'm all for picking up arms for this country. I'm all for a fight against injustice. We know that. I did it in the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, and I'm going to keep doing it. But in this case, you know, we have a very fragile government, and if we lose that hold, and what really we are known for is fair elections and the peaceful transfer of power from one leader to another. And that's where you don't get, you normally in other countries, third world countries, there's a problem there, and that's when you have coups and stuff like that. Well, since they all did that, the far-right extremist groups, Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and the three, they're called 3 percenters, and the longest sentence so far was 22 years. This guy's got 22 years in prison. I don't know what's going to happen in appeals, but 22, right now, nothing. This is such a hot issue. 22 years he got, and his name is Enrico Tarrio, and he was a Proud Boy and one of the leaders of the Proud Boy. And here's why. They literally charged him with election, November, communicate, Oath Keepers, view the conference. They, listen, here's what happened. They tried to stop the election. They got together on December 12th, and they started coordinating how they were going to do this. They bought radios and communication gears and vests and flak vests and camo gear, all of that kind of stuff. On December 15th, the Proud Boys were photographed wearing anti-Semitic stuff, which, you know, obviously today we got going on with the Jewish community and the Hamas. This is just sick. I mean, this is going on around the country, around the world. And they actually had a shirt that said 6 MWEs, and that means millions were enough, meaning 6 million Jews that were killed in World War II by Nazis were not enough. That's crazy. 6 million, not enough. That just is. I don't even have somebody to wear something. It just blows my mind away sometimes. On December 19th, the Oath Keepers leaders, Kelly Meggs, called Proud Boys Enrique Tarrio, and they coordinated their teams now. Now, the Proud Boy leadership actually handpicked a team to form a new chapter, and they called it the Ministry of Self-Defense. And in it, they had paramilitary equipment, and the leaders wanted to actually have in their memos what important buildings to occupy. Remember this. This is America. This is, we're all one. You know, it always blows me away when we talk about elections and stuff like that, or Republican, Democrat. People who know me know I'm a libertarian. And I will tell you why this is just blowing me away. We're one country, guys. You know, after 9/11, we came together as a country. And I remember 9/11, I was in prison. I remember it vividly. And we came together as a country. We can't even come together to transfer power. I mean, you can blame a lot of people, but if people are swayed that easy and they don't do their research, obviously the media, we can talk about who's wrong on a lot of this stuff, and it is. Anyway, they received documents titled, listen to this, 1776 returns. You know, I always laugh when older people, or even my mom, people my age, say, oh, it was better back in the old days. No, it wasn't. Nothing was better. Let's get that straight, people. Nothing was better 25 years ago. When I grew up, there was no cable TV, no phones, no cell phones, stuff, no computers, no internet. So don't tell me it was better. I mean, today I bought a 75-inch TV for $600, $700. I mean, when I bought a TV back in my day, it was $4,000 for not even that big and that good. But it is what it is. But it's not better. And we don't want to go back to 1776, obviously. And, that's why I'm a believer in the Constitution should actually be updated. Yeah, update people. What do you mean? Listen, when they wrote the Constitution, they had no idea about tanks and, machine guns and all the weapons that they had no idea in 17. So, obviously, it should be updated. Do I believe a person should have a tank? No. What do you... listen, are we living in a civil society or are we living in a anarchy? If we're living in anarchy, I'm all for it. Trust me, I can do my part. Anyway, they stormed the Capitol. They actually coordinate on January 3rd and 4th. This is the Proud Keepers and the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. They end up having 100 people. They put out a memo, don't come in camel, come incognito, so they don't know who you are, but they have them radios. They had them planted all over Washington. And these guys, they divided into teams with the equipment they had. And here is what blows me away. And I told you numbers on all this. It blows me away to know that all the agencies in the United States, even 10 living Secretary of Defense, got together and wrote an open letter warning of a coup or warning of a unrest during the transfer of power to January 6th. So let's face it, people, they knew. Why wasn't there more security? Why wasn't, the police? The police infiltrate the mob. They infiltrate all of these militia groups. They knew. They knew. But somebody in there did not want to tell to the full extent. They totally knew what was going on. You can't tell me the FBI. Now, it can't be the CIA. Everyone goes, liar, the CIA knew. The CIA was there. Obviously, the heads of all the departments. But the CIA is not supposed to be allowed to investigate any domestic terrorism or anybody domestic or an American. They're only allowed to do that to foreigners and overseas. Now, the FBI and terrorist units and stuff, they knew. You can't tell me. And if they didn't know, the whole agency should be fired. And I mean that. Because you can't keep a conspiracy like this. Again, I wear a shirt normally, people, saying 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. And it is a common thing that so many people are telling that we need to obviously find out. And I think the bigger picture in this whole thing. Yes, President Donald Trump inciting around. I don't even think he's going to be convicted of that. I really don't, people. I think he has a problem with the Georgia one where he literally asked for the exact amount of votes to the Secretary of State of that state. That's dangerous. And also the documents, literally when they ask him, and every other president just gives them back. They make them, somebody took them. And he actually says it on a radio show to a reporter. Yeah, I'm not supposed to have these documents. And he shows him top secret documents. And here's why I don't like that. If you really you want to put all the other people, and there's a lot of people in prison for that, we shouldn't hold two standards, for a politician and for anybody, for something like that. You know why? Because we're putting our agents and we're putting people who protect this country from foreign terrorists in jeopardy. And that is wrong, period. End of story, wrong. I don't think Donald Trump is going to be anything with the census because he is a politician and they got a lot of leeway to say what they want. And did he really incite them? Did he say, go down there and stop it? No. He said some inflammatory words, but if people take that out of context, you cannot start picking and choosing these little words that you can or can't say on these things, or you're held accountable. It's just crazy, guys. We got to have more common sense. I'm all for less laws and more common sense. And I think if we could do that, I think we'd be a lot better country. We can't just keep putting more and more laws on the books. It's stupid. And it's not something I am a supporter of, especially as a libertarian. I think they should take laws off the books, like drugs and certain things like that. Anyway, I hope you got a little bit of an idea of what today is. Today is January 6th. Insurrection Day, you want to call it. The day we almost lost the United States of America as you know it. And that can happen. That just showed everybody how fragile and how people can get manipulated. And I hope people step back and start thinking. You're going to hear more and more cases come out. And all during those cases, you're going to read into them. Please, people, read into them. I love the fact that more and more people want to know about it, because when I go out at functions, they say, hey, Larry, you understand, you were in the Capitol, you spoke at Congress, and you were in some of the rooms, you met so many congressmen and stuff of that nature. And what's it like? Listen, that's a building of power. I hate to say it's probably a building of corruption. And it's a shame, because when we formed the country, the politicians weren't there to be career politicians. They'd come do their civic duty and then go back to their farms and whatever they did. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. Remember this day, and let's never repeat it. Have a great day. Please make good choices. Have fun, and I'll see you in our next video.